Hello, I'm Nicola and I would like to welcome you to this webinar on obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and intrusive thoughts. In this webinar, we will be looking at gaining an understanding of obsessive compulsive disorder and intrusive thoughts, whilst raising awareness of possible signs and symptoms, and giving insights into the possible causes and effects of OCD. Noticing the impact on mental health and behaviours, and reflecting and considering ways in which to communicate and to support children, along with exploring ways in which to support yourself whilst giving practical information on promoting well-being and good mental health. If we just take a moment to look at what obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is defined as. It's classed as an anxiety disorder, and it occurs when repeated behaviours are performed to reduce discomfort and anxiety from intrusive thoughts. OCD in children tends to develop in late childhood, early teens, though it is possible to manifest in a child as young as 6 years old. And interestingly, 1% of the population in the UK suffer from symptoms of OCD. The compulsion and the obsession are developed to help reduce anxiety. Obsessions are when the intrusive thoughts are very hard to manage. They're unwanted thoughts, they're images, and they could be behaviours. They are distressing and they're intrusive. They often produce feelings of distress, have a negative impact on daily life, and the worries and the doubts of them may feel stuck in the mind. The thoughts about what they mean, all those intrusive thoughts, and why they won't go away. It wouldn't be uncommon for the intrusive thoughts to be hidden and to not shared. There may be shock or distress for having such thoughts. It's at this point we need to remember that the obsessions are not a reflection on the child's personality. The compulsions, you may hear them described as rituals. The compulsions are repetitive things which are felt are needed to be done in order to reduce the distress or the uncertainty caused by the obsessions. Though the more the compulsion is acted upon, the stronger the urge is to do it again and again. And compulsions can feel very time-consuming. They may be tiring and overwhelming, impacting on daily life. Just a few examples of what a compulsion may be. It could be overwashing of hands, of the body, or things around, touching things in a certain order or at a certain time. Maybe like turning off a light switch 3 times before leaving the room. But then there can still leave an unsettledness in the body of turning on that light off, arranging things in a particular order. To that person, they have to be in that way. Or maybe saying things or singing things over again, maybe a line, a quote, maybe just a certain word, that compulsion to keep on repeating. And the act of compulsion brings only a temporary relief from the overwhelming feelings that are being felt. The compulsion and the repeated unwanted and intrusive thoughts, images and urges often produce feelings of anxiety, possibly disgust and unease. What are intrusive thoughts? An intrusive thought is an unwanted thought that comes to the mind. It may occur as a feeling or possibly a sensation. It may be a memory. It may be an urge to do, or it may develop as a mental picture. These intrusive thoughts can be triggered by something, or they may come into the mind for no obvious reason. And for the person who is struggling with the intrusive thoughts, these intrusive thoughts can come very often, and they're random and they can feel meaningless. They can also feel very scary and produce feelings of shameful, and they can feel offensive to that person. For those with OCD, intrusive thoughts can become obsessions. The actions taken to get rid of intrusive thoughts can become compulsions. So watching out for the signs and the symptoms that intrusive thoughts and OCD may be present. Excessive washing and cleaning of themselves or items, possibly worries about cleanliness, infection, contamination, ordering items in specific ways, checking possessions, sort of struggling with lights and taps, needing them on or off or certain number of times, that the doors and windows are closed and opened. Maybe a fear that important things are lost, and extreme care is being, overly extreme care has been taken of things. Repetitive counting or humming or singing or words. Having lucky numbers and unlucky numbers. We may all have unlucky numbers and lucky numbers, but it's, when it has to be a certain number or it can't be a certain number. Maybe there's a fear of activities that they can't be completed, and harm will come if I do. Needing to leave school or home, or sort of climbing out of buses or cars in certain ways. A need for reassurance that nothing bad is going to happen. They may also hoard a few bits, children are known for collecting things, but are they hoarding things that sort of aren't collectibles, or what they're hoarding, are they keeping them in sort of different circumstances? They may be distracted, they may struggle, with separation. There may be anxiety when you leave them, or the thought of you leaving. There's low self-esteem, and possibly going to school is difficult for them. Maybe frequently late, repeating checking and redoing the work. They could possibly have friendships or relationship problems. Regularly wanting to leave the room, they're comfortable staying in one place for any length of time could be a challenge for them. Thought patterns may be inconsistent and possibly inflexible. Home life could be affected, and school life could be interrupted, and they may be struggling with the change of environments. They may repeatedly do tasks and schoolwork they may need to get to perfection for them. When children struggle sometimes to understand, sort of what goes on for them, their emotions and their feelings, and quite often they'll come up with sort of headaches or tummy aches or disturbed sleep or emotional outbursts, and some of these can be because they don't know what to do with the feelings, and it's the only way to express them. Just taking a moment to look at what may be behind a child developing OCD, or even an adult, and taking a look at the genetics. It's possible a family member, a very close friend, within the family setup, they may experience anxiety themselves, and the child picks up that, sort of an unsettlement in them, in their surroundings. There could be a lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, possibly a loss of control, not feeling in control of life, which not feeling safe. It's unsettling for the child. And they're the adverse childhood experiences, the physical, the emotional neglect, the well, any sort of abuse of any description. There may be a death that they've been struggling with. There may be a divorce, an abandonment. Really, anything that the child may experience as being traumatic. This can impact on their emotional development. The reality of intrusive thoughts are that they are a fundamental symptom of OCD. Intrusive thoughts are thoughts that enter the unconsciousness, often without warning or being prompted, with content that may be alarming, disturbing, or just plain weird, though they can cause great distress. We will all have thoughts throughout our day, remembering events, things we've seen, things we've heard, things we've said, things we've done, things we think, should we have done that, or maybe I could have done that differently. Though for somebody with OCD thoughts, these contain disturbing and distressing thoughts. And they can become fixed, they become stuck in their thought patterns. It can be difficult for non-sufferers of OCD to understand and even to support those who experience intrusive thoughts. And taking a quick look at some of the behaviours and the way that some people may manage their OCD that may be going on for them, like the mental compulsions. These are the compulsions that may not always be visible. It may be, in they're sort of working it through in their head, trying to neutralize the intrusive thoughts with good thoughts, maybe mentally repeating phrases and counting to self-assure themselves. They may be endlessly analysing, though attempting to ignore or to suppress these thoughts can actually make them louder for the person. They may be checking sort of repeatedly, checking windows and doors are locked, that their body or their clothing is not contaminated and can't get contaminated. They might be, looking at the routes that they're travelling, to try and keep themselves safe. If they can organise their route, nothing bad will happen. Maybe there's correcting of thoughts also going on. They may be counting a certain number to get that thought correct, trying to replace the intrusive thoughts with a different image, doing something again and again until it feels right. There could be a need for them for repeated reassurance, checking with everybody that everything's all right, that everything's okay still, saying or doing things just to test people's reactions, maybe repeatedly apologising and questioning those intrusive thoughts and asking for their meaning, and questioning themselves, really. Thinking about the same thing again and again, trying to solve or to fix their intrusive thoughts by thinking about what they mean and consistently asking about their obsessions. Supporting a child with OCD and intrusive thoughts. Supporting the child with good communication. Think about the language you may use age-appropriate sort of words, and consider how hard this may be to have these sort of conversations. If they've opened up and talked to you, try and see their perspective on that. Might have been quite hard to do, and it could be a struggle for them. Try to listen to them non-judgmentally It's very easy to sort of put our thoughts into how and why they should be thinking how they do, but they're thinking as they're thinking because we're all unique individuals, and the child's developing and growing and seeing life from their perspective. Try to have good connection with them, and that sort of, let them know you're there for them, that you support and take care of them, that they can rely on you without you being judgmental to them, that you sort of support as well as you possibly can. If you can't support, you'll get them the support that they need. The connection that they need with you is just to know you're there for them, really. Be empathetic. Try not to make judgments, and I do appreciate that is hard, but showing empathy and just being with them in that moment can speak volumes to the child. And understanding, have sort of try to understand things, not from their perspective, because it's hard for any of us to do that, but they're just thinking as a child. They don't have the same thought patterns as we do. They haven't quite developed the brain function, to be working to the full capacity that ours does. Try to educate yourself around OCD and the intrusive thoughts, and give the child, if possible, the choice of how they want to be supported. What will work for them. They can't have everything that they're probably requesting from you, but find a way, do some compromising. How do they want the support to come? Explore ways together on how they can, they manage their OCD and their intrusive thoughts. But I think it's important to remember to reassure them that things can change, and gently remind them that their thoughts that they are just thoughts. Be as patient and as understanding as you can. Maybe if the child's feeling very unsettled and agitated, you could possibly use some grounding techniques. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 may work with them. Help them, play along with them, really. Find 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, and 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. That can help bring the child and yourself even back into the moment and into right now, and it can help relieve and bring down some of the anxiety level. Maybe to find distraction, walking, listening to music, playing games, reading books. Make sure the self-care is kept up as well. The healthy eating, the exercising, and good sleep. Maybe some relaxation techniques. Work with the children sort of to notice their breathing, have nice warm baths possibly. And even journal maybe some of their thoughts. They can show you their journal, or they can keep their journal to themselves, and this is something you'll need to respect. If they want to keep the journal without you knowing what's in it, that it needs to be upheld. That. And for yourselves and even for the child, are there any support groups locally? Is there anything available, any sort of children's charities that may be working with children that are suffering with intrusive thoughts and OCD? The calming hand may be a good one to work with youngsters. If you take the thumb, you can get them to draw this out on a piece of paper, their hand, or to physically use the hand. The thumb is the recognition. When you touch the thumb or you point to the thumb on the paper, wherever it is that's about recognizing the stress that you may be holding within the body. And it's about taking control back to regain that control and take down the stress levels. The index finger is a sigh out. The middle finger is you breathe in slowly. The fourth finger is a slow breathe out. And the little finger is a stretch and relax the hand. Stretch and relax the hand. And you may need to repeat this a few times, until the calmness is felt. All that's going on around you, it may feel very overwhelming and you may feel completely out of your depth with it. But do remember, it is okay to ask for help. Without your emotional strength and your well-being, you can't be in a good place to handle or support all you're being faced with. All our resilience levels are different, and for one day to the next, one moment to the others, they can change. But resilience is about the ability to cope and to recover from life setbacks. It's a psychological strength we have within ourselves. Having good resilience doesn't mean we feel less distress or anxiety than others. It means we're able to manage and we have healthy ways to handle our experiences and our feelings. We can build on our own resilience, and we can help build that strength by knowing it's okay to say no, and by taking time for ourselves and not being over responsible for other people, and also being able to say yes when you want to. If you're feeling stressed in the moment, maybe you're overwhelmed with what's going on, find some quick calming techniques that work for you. Maybe some exercise, some relaxation of some description, talking, singing, possibly some grounding. Do breathing exercises work for you? Find a distraction that's good, that is it works, that is suitable for you. Just a gentle reminder to yourself to go breathe, go easy on yourself today, because whatever you do, let that be enough, because we're doing in the moment what we know we can do. It may change the next day, we may have thoughts afterwards, but in that moment, we're doing what we have, the tools we have available to us, we're achieving that. So be gentle on yourselves. You're worth it. In the following slides, you may find some useful information. There's some organisations there that work with children that suffer with OCD and intrusive thoughts. They can also support parents. There are a few following slides after this with the support that is available from West Sussex Mind. If you'd like to just take a moment just to read through them, you may find there are some helpful connections there for you. I hope you found this webinar interesting, helpful. Thank you very much. Goodbye.